Alright, let's talk Beast Morphers. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am Britt, and if you haven't subscribed yet, you probably should, because I talk about geeky things like Power Rangers. And now, every Monday, I'll be doing episode reviews of Power Rangers Beast Morphers. So I was actually inspired to do this after last week's episode, which I ended up not even doing a review for. But if you guys would like to see that review, maybe I can throw it up on a Thursday video at some point. I still have it saved on my DVR in thoughts about watching it again and taking notes and doing a review of it for you guys and kind of my thoughts, because it wasn't good in my opinion in a lot of ways. There were ways that it was amazing, but there were ways that it just wasn't, and it's just still very Saban, and it's just Power Rangers needs a new showrunner. Hasbro, call me. But I decided to do episode reviews of Power Rangers Beast Morphers. I asked you guys on Twitter, so if you guys want to be part of this channel's growth and this channel's kind of evolution over time, follow me on Twitter. I run polls all the time. Sometimes they are absolute nonsense. Like one time I ran a tweet, I can't remember what the poll was, but ended with asking you Polish. Sometimes they are complete nonsense, but sometimes they are actually helpful for me so that I can kind of gauge what my audience wants to see with my channel, and my audience wanted to see episode reviews of Beast Morphers. So now every Monday, that's what we're doing. So let's get started on this particular episode. So the episode that aired on Saturday, which I just finished watching, which this is actually Saturday, but it's going up on Monday because I'm a professional and I have a schedule. Anyway, the episode that aired on Saturday was the 10th episode of Power Rangers Beast Morphers, and it was the second episode back from its hiatus after Nate and Steel become the Gold and Silver Rangers. So let's talk a little bit about the episode itself. So the episode itself opens with Evox complaining about Roxy and Blaze because they just keep failing, as really any villains do at some point. This is a little early for the main villain to be freaking out a little bit, but this definitely does happen. I know Rita complained about everybody losing, and Zed complained about everybody losing. You know, I think every single villain that has a personality has complained about how worthless their team is. So it's no real surprise that that was what was happening. However, his little lackey was able to pull together a new idea, and that is to steal some Morphex power from the Power Rangers themselves. Specifically, the original 3. So I don't know why not the Silver and Gold Rangers as well. Maybe because they're so new. They really didn't explain why they just wanted 3 powers versus all 5 at this point. But that's fine. Continuity errors are still rampant in Power Rangers at this point, but I even find continuity errors in The Good Place, which is one of my favorite television shows of all time. So I'm starting to see this kind of rivalry developing between Blaze and Roxy, which I think will be interesting going forward if they do anything with it, being that it is still, again, so new, so early in the series at this point. We're only in episode 10, and there's already kind of an issue between the two bad guys that are doing most of the running around, most of the grunt work. So it'll be interesting to see what comes of that, or if it's just going to be this episode arc that they start with this episode about stealing the Morphex powers from the Rangers, or part of their Morphex powers from the Rangers. So we'll see what happens with that particular storyline. It's hard to say when those two are going to get saved. I don't know if they're going to get saved at the end, or if one will get saved at the end of this season, and then we'll work with the Rangers to try and save the other. My guess is Roxy will be saved before Blaze, if they're not saved at the same time. But we're gonna get to that some other day. Roxy says that she has this unbeatable plan, this great idea to get the powers from the Rangers. And this is where you start to see that kind of rivalry starting to develop between the two, because they're kind of shooting looks at each other. Blaze says, "Good luck, you're gonna need it." So there are definitely some moments in there where you can tell that there is this rivalry kind of happening, and it wasn't happening really before this. So it's kind of new, and it'll be interesting, like I said, to see where it goes. So then we open up to where the Rangers are. They are all at the gym. They are all working out. It is so reminiscent, oddly enough, of Ernie's juice bar that it's just so strange, because there's even like that step down. And in the back, there's looking like a juice bar, very reminiscent actually of the one he had outside during Zeo. So I don't know, it's almost like they were trying to make that callback, which I think is interesting, but something that I just noticed, and not good or bad, just a thing I noticed. But they're all working out together, and then Ravi reveals that he has a toothache, and the others are trying to convince him to go to the dentist, but he's afraid of the dentist. This is such a common trope in children's television shows, the fear of this dentist or the fear of this doctor. And so the scary dentist motif is all over this episode, but we're going to get into the motifs in a little bit. So they're all trying to convince him to go to the doctor, and he says he can't. It is then that Roxy is spotted, and they all go off to stop Roxy. Roxy ends up making this drill monster, and they end up fighting the Rangers for a little while and then drilling down into the ground and actually covering up behind them so the Rangers can't follow them. It takes Nate a little while to figure out what exactly this means, what exactly is happening, but he eventually figures out that they weren't escaping the battle. They were going to do what they wanted to do. So he calls Ravi, who has been now taken to a dentist against his will, where he is at this dentist office, and there is this scary dentist motif moment. So there is this moment where the offices have these frosted window doors, and they can only see the silhouette of somebody in one of them. And this person takes out this massive drill and just starts drilling, and Ravi becomes scared, as well as Ben and Betty, and they all run out of the dentist office. Then the dentist walks out of the other room, opens up the door, that they see this drill, and it's really just a guy drilling. Putting together what looks like a desk or something. Anyway, so Ravi goes to meet with Nate. Nate, Steele, and Ravi go into this underground tunnel system where Nate is now faced with his greatest fear, which is spiders. They see spider webs all over the place, and Nate realizes that he has to also overcome this fear in order to be able to be a good ranger. So they go and they find Roxy and the evil drill monster, and they realize that they're trying to drill up into the MorphX base. So obviously they need to stop them from doing that because there are people there, but also this power that is going to give Evox his ultimate power is there, and they can't let Evox take that power and become more powerful than he is and give himself a body. They fight Roxy and the drill monster, while the other Rangers are waiting another monster in their Zords. Eventually, Nate and Steele are fighting Roxy and the drones outside, and Ravi goes to join the other Rangers in the Zords, and they create the Megazord and destroy the drill monster. And Ravi finally goes to the dentist, overcomes his fear of this dentist, and fixes his tooth. And then, of course, the very end for the bad guys is Blaze now has an idea and will try and steal more powers from the Rangers, where Roxy was actually able to steal some of Ravi's powers during that fight. So there you go. That is the total recap of the episode of Power Rangers Beast Morphers episode 10. And now we've got some things we want to say about it. So like I said, there was this motif of the scary dentist, and that happens a lot. Like I said, in children's television, it's because dentists and doctors are just inherently scary to children. They're inherently scary to some adults even. It's definitely something that is going to grab a chord with children, and so that's why it's constantly used. Evil dentists or scary dentists or the fear of dentists, and then having everything actually turn out okay. Because that's how it has to actually end, is that this dentist is misunderstood. There's this comic misunderstanding or something along those lines where the dentist is actually this great, wonderful person, and the kid walks away no longer afraid of this dentist. It's a very common thing used to try and help children overcome their fears as well, which I think is a great thing. But in my perspective, I think that the execution of that particular motif was both good and bad. What are some good things and what are some bad things about it? One of my favorite things actually was the fact that the episode that they used from the Sentai. Now I know nothing about this Sentai. I have not seen this Sentai, so forgive me if I'm completely off. But generally speaking, Sentai episodes are nothing like the actual Power Ranger episode. And this is coming from somebody who watches the Sentai season and the corresponding Power Ranger season right after. And sometimes they'll take story ideas and put them in the episodes. But they do have to alter them quite a bit. I mean, like even with Mega Ranger and In Space, with the Pink Ranger being forced to go on a date because she thinks this guy found out that she was the Pink Mega Ranger, and then they get stuck inside this building, and then the Rangers have to come and save them. Same thing happens to Cassie in an episode of In Space. So they do use some of the same stories just because sometimes it's easy to match a Sentai that way. But in all reality, a lot of kind of one-off episodes are not going to be very similar at all to the episode itself from the Sentai. So the fact that they used this drill monster was actually really cool because of the fact that it was about this dentist fear that Ravi had. Now I wish that what they could have done was actually accentuate that a little bit more, have Ravi see the parallel and kind of go, oh, I'm more afraid of the dentist now, or something to that effect, of actually like really boldly combining the two, because I saw the motif. I see it as an adult, as somebody who studied film criticism, but a kid isn't going to see that connection because the kid is going to look at the drill and go, oh, it's like the thing my parents use when they're building stuff at the house, because that's the drill she used to make the drill monster. That being said, I think that they could have done a lot better. Even though I saw the connection, I think that it could have been done a lot better with the execution of it to make it more real, more of a real connection that the kids would actually understand. One of the things I didn't like about it was the comic misunderstanding of the scary dentist in the silhouette drilling down on somebody. I saw it coming from a mile away. Again, maybe because I'm an adult, maybe because I studied film criticism, I don't know. I just am trained to see these things these days. But that being said, I still think that that was kind of a cheesy comic misunderstanding. Comic misunderstandings are great. I love Three's Company, and that entire show is built on comic misunderstandings. But they have to be done well in order for me to really appreciate them, and that one was just not done very well at all. I still find Ben and Betty so freaking annoying. Last episode, and if I ever do this episode review, we'll talk about it, where they weren't really Bulk and Skull, they were more like Gem and Gemma, and that irritates me even more, because Gem and Gemma are an acquired taste. And I know, RPM fans, I get it. Y'all love Gem and Gemma. I love RPM, and I do like Gem and Gemma. I have a love for them that it was acquired, okay? But I don't enjoy that type of comedy, like, at all. So that's just my thing. And I just don't like Ben and Betty. I think that they're really annoying. I think that the actors are fine. I think the actors are actually doing pretty well doing cartoony characters. I just don't think they're a good fit. The characters themselves are a good fit. I don't think they were executed well at all. But you guys knew this from my first impressions of Beast Morphers back a few months ago. So I don't know. They're not growing on me like I wish they would. I also think that the actor who plays Ravi had a lot of flat acting in this episode, which makes me kind of sad because this was a great character building episode for him. This was an episode about Ravi. They didn't utilize him the way that they should have, and I feel like he wasn't directed well enough to really play off pain well, and it just came off very, very flat, which really bothers me because I don't like when the Rangers are flat. It just, that generally bothers me a lot. But I will say Blaze and Roxy are still, I think, the best actors in that season. I mean, I think they're just really great at what they do. They're really good at the overacting that they need to be doing for those types of characters. I think they're cartoony when they need to be. They're not cartoony when they don't need to be. And they both have great careers ahead of them. Not saying that the other Rangers don't, or the other characters don't. I think the other actors do definitely have great things for them in the future, but I just think Blaze and Roxy, the people who play them, are so incredible. I think that they're so great. I think that they are stealing the show for me, and I love them tremendously. So if you guys ever come across this video, just know that I think you guys are awesome, and I hope you guys are a Power Morphicon so I can meet you and tell you guys in person how amazing I think you guys are. So that's that. So the girl who plays Roxy, I cannot remember her name off the top of my head right now, but I do follow her on Twitter, and she had posted something, and I had responded to that saying that you've got a great career ahead of you or something like that, and she responded to that post, so obviously she knows how I feel, but I would love to tell her in person. So anyway, let's move on. Now, as much as I'm not a fan of this whole Steel situation, I think that this Steel becoming this Power Ranger is stupid. I think that the writing him in as Nate's brother is stupid just because he has some of Nate's DNA. I have issues with that storyline altogether, but I thought the character was utilized very beautifully in this episode, and I love it. He had this great moment when the drill monster and Roxy drill underground, and I think it was Devin that goes, "Where'd they go?" And Steel just very robotically, because that's what he is, he's a robot. Steel just very robotically says, "Underground," obviously. It just was so beautifully done. I think that it was great, and I think it was delivered great. I don't like the character itself. I think the execution of the character is silly, but I think that some moments are really prime, and that was one of those prime moments. The last thing I'm going to talk about is just this wonderful callback that I noticed to the original Power Rangers, because we have Nate, who basically is the Billy of the team, and I think that he's so great. He's probably my favorite Power Ranger in the series, and only just because of the fact that I called it 100%. Called it. Go back to my Beast Morphers first impressions video. I called it 100%. He said affirmative to Ravi, and that just made my heart flutter, because that's something that Billy always said. And so it was definitely a wonderful callback to Billy, and being that this is going to have Jason come back and conceivably more Rangers from that time period, because we saw their suits, so we don't know if the actors are going to be back or if they're just going to be suited. But still, it was a great callback, and I think that it was a fun callback to a season that's going to have that team at least somewhat represented, so it's great. So there you guys have it. There is my first ever episode review of Power Rangers Beast Morphers. If you guys liked it, give me a like. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, you probably should. I'm going to be posting a new video every Monday and Thursday on this channel throughout the course of Beast Morphers, as long as an episode of Beast Morphers has aired, and then my regular geeky video on Thursday. And I hope you guys all have a great rest of your day. I will see you guys all on Thursday. Bye. I hate wearing lipstick. I like the way it looks, but don't like drinking anything with it. Hey, Nova! Hey, no. That is my filming light, not a toy. All right. Hey, guys. Thanks. That is really there. Okay. There we go. Hey guys, and oh wait, nope, this light is definitely in the wrong spot. I don't think it made much of a difference, but